I don't know what difference is when I already have one. Like, I don't understand why.
Right. I don't either, but it might be easier.
How do we not have any tech friends between the two of us?
I mean, you're my only friend, Josh.
We were that into fucking sports where we didn't speak to one fucking dickhead nerd.
Yeah, and nobody liked us, so here we are. It's just me, you, and Jack White.
Oh man, I feel very frustrated right now.
All right, you're right.
For the past 3 days, we've spent so many hours just trying to get this to all come together, which I guess is a teachable moment. I've been telling myself to do a podcast for the past 10 years, and gave it an effort. It's not always going to work. So part of me feels good that we're doing this. The other part wants to punch a hole through the wall. I didn't have a chance to set up what I wanted to say today, even though I feel what I want to say.
I hate to break it to you, but that's like, that's good podcasting. That's good radio, what you just said. So I think we're off to a decent start.
It's life advice. It's whenever you step forward, you're going to get it knocked down out of 10 times, but you got to keep getting up. And as cliche as that bullshit is, you and I are learning this on the fly as we go. And technology is not our friend. We call ourselves old jokingly. I'm on the verge of 40. You're mid-30s, and we couldn't figure it out tonight. It's not the most important thing that we be able to see the video, but the content that is coming out of our mouths and out of our heart as to why we decided to do this is going to be the most important thing. But it's a teachable moment. You got to keep plugging away at it. It's not going to go smooth. I don't know why I expected it to go smooth. Given this is our first effort. We've done podcasts before, but never to this extent. It's always been simple audio, the end, no production value. That's it.
Right, yeah.
And now we're trying to step it up level upon level upon level.
Right. And we'll get there. I mean, I don't think anybody who's never had like a professional engineer or podcast or producer, have everything go perfectly on their first stream. So considering, that we are older guys who are not very savvy with the technical equipment. I think we're pretty good for the most part. I mean, we really wanted to do the podcast part, right? And I mean, the audio is recording, so I mean that's half the battle. Next week, maybe we'll get to see your face. Like
I was joking around earlier, maybe this will help viewership. So by not being able to see my face, so maybe this is it. So
right. But if you do want to see Josh's face, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just say if you do want to see.
The thing that we're going to have to deal with the COVID is we can't feed off of each other's energy and body language and things like that we're so used to doing that we've done together for so many years during podcasting. We're going to step on each other's toes a lot. Mm-hmm. The key is just trying to be as transparent as possible and giving each other ample opportunity to speak their minds.
Right. And that would be helpful if it would be a little bit more helpful if I could see you and see if you were going to start another sentence. But for people who do want to see Josh, see his face, see what he looks like, there's a teeny tiny picture in the corner of Twitch. So if you're on YouTube, check out Twitch, check out that stream. Why don't you go ahead and plug your social medias first, and then we'll really kind of dive into why we're here tonight.
All right. My name is Joshua Catlow. I'm at Joshua Patrick on Facebook. And on Twitter, I am Joshua Catlow, JOSHUACATLOW. And on Instagram, I am at Joshua Patrick as well. I'm going to I'm going to be posting about Revolutionary Roulette on a daily basis, especially when we get the bugs worked out. However, as of right now, we spent the majority of the last three nights bouncing ideas off of each other on how to get this to where we need it to be for the evening. So those are my socials. If you ever want to reach out about the podcast or anything else, feel free. I'm like an open book, and you'll learn that as we go on throughout the podcast, throughout the streaming of the video when we get that worked out.
Yeah, and I'm on Twitter at Rob Zielinski. That's ZIELINSKI at Rob Zielinski. Don't hit me up on Facebook, straight up. I don't want to be on Facebook. It's toxic as fuck over there. So I'm not going to be on there. I'm ZobF37 on Instagram, ZOBF37. Or you could just email the show, revolutionaryroulette@gmail.com.
That's going to be a good way to do it. Rob is going to be in charge of either the Twitch or the YouTube stream. We haven't exactly figured out who's going to be working the comment sections of either of those apps quite yet, but one of us will be in charge of looking at one, the other will be in charge of looking at the other. If you feel more comfortable speaking to one of us, you can comment in that particular person's section, although I suggest picking both of our brains because Rob's going to have an added something that I won't bring to the table. He's going to have an added educational part of what we're going to be talking about down the road, as opposed to where I'm coming from, mostly feel and heart. He's going to actually have the knowledge to back up.
And I'm
the majority of what we're talking
intellectual
about.
Robot. I have no feelings or emotions.
Not necessarily that. It's just, I would just say almost the polar opposite when it comes to the learning aspect of what we've put ourselves through by reading this book has been an adjustment, to say the least. I don't know how many times I've texted or called and the first words out of my mouth were, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And
I knew what you were talking about.
You guys to learn that with us. I'm excited for you guys to understand why we've had these moments. It's going to be awkward, and there's going to be people out there that don't understand, want to believe, or necessarily think that some of these things that we speak of are wrong. And the whole purpose of this podcast is to not tell you what to think, but try and tell you how to think, if you will. Not to enforce our will or enforce our thought process upon you, but to help you understand that everything that glitters isn't always gold, or everything that shines isn't always a diamond. So
yes.
Pick and choose, listen, digest, and comprehend before you speak.
So I think what the crux of what Josh is saying here is, I listened to the audiobook of Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States, and just about every 5 minutes, and maybe because I was listening to it at 2 times speed or 1.5 speed, something like that, but every 5 minutes it was just blowing in my mind. I'm like, what? I'm like, is this fucking serious? And so the history that we learned in school is a sort of whitewashed version of what actually happened. The victors get to rewrite history, right? But there are people along the way who were keeping their own logs and diaries. And chapter 1 next week, which is what we're going to cover, is Christopher Columbus. the history of the United States, and it starts straight up 1492, Christopher Columbus, that whole little song or whatever, sailed the ocean blue, and it goes until about the Clinton administration. I'm not sure, but starting next week, just to give you a little bit of a teaser, I don't have the book on me right now, but the source for most of what we're going to be discussing is Christopher Columbus, not some rich corporate publishing company that's going to spew the sugar-coated version of Christopher Columbus that you learned about in school. And that's why people like myself are now referring to it as Indigenous Day, not Christopher Columbus Day, because it's for Christopher Columbus discovered the indigenous people. So it's really interesting. I cannot wait to share all this information with people. Just the conversations that we've had, that I've had with Josh. So what did we talk about on the phone? You were like, oh, that was a good, that might be like a good teaser. There's any number of things. What's like the most recent thing that you listened to?
Well, I still got 2 hours left in the book. It's a 44-hour listen audio book, and I'm listening to it at regular speed so I can digest it. Rob's a little picking up on things. First and foremost, it goes past the Clinton election. It goes all the way to the 2000 election and the war on terrorism. War on terrorism in quotations, because what you'll learn about that is going to be, I don't want to say mind-blowing, because some of you might already have an idea, but let's just put it this way. One thing we're going to learn very quick throughout this podcast and the stream is that there are very few decisions made throughout the course of history for the benefits of humanitarianism or for the benefits of humanity in general. And most of them are made in regards to the dollar bill, which is extremely unfortunate. But when it comes to the teasers for each different chapter, for next week, for instance, Chief Blackhawk is one thing. When he was having a conversation with a Union general about being shot upon and his people getting slaughtered, just the courage in the face of adversity that he showed was something that you can put together as a pillar of your own personal foundation, and maybe even an inspiration to show you that even when you're getting fired upon in everyday life, things are going wrong at work, or you're having a bad day, whatever it may be, that take it in perspective, process it, understand it for what it is, and then move on to the next one. But there's going to be tons of things that we're going to learn together throughout this. I know Rob and I were talking about why specifically we wanted to get into doing this podcast together. Rob was telling you that he was listening to the audiobook, and he is the one that recommended this to me, along with a few other of you that may be listening. And I was told that it is a very dry read, very dry listen, and that's 100% factual. Not an easy one to get through. However, how many history classes that you sat in were easy to get through? So what we're going to try and do is put our own personality, perspective on things as well. Did you want to start with what made you want to start the podcast? What brought that idea, and how I kind of hijacked your ship, if you will, and said, I'm joining this. It's going to not be a solo project. We're going to get back on the horse together like we've done numerous times through our sporting podcast.
Right. So maybe just some quick background. We met each other at school at the, I don't even want to say the name, but it's called ICB. Basically, we both paid $1,000 each to become each other's friend. We started a sports podcast. Actually, it was a live stream with another friend of ours, another classmate, Todd Norris. It used to be Cover 3 on sportstownchicago.com. And then we were moved over to chicagolandsportsradio.com, where we were Chicago Sports Fix. And and that's where we really cut our teeth.
And we did that for almost 2 years.
Right. Did that for almost 2 years. Did a fantasy football podcast years later called High Upside. Don't go back and listen to those. I'm sure they're still on SoundCloud somewhere in the SoundCloud ether, but yeah, definitely don't check those out. And so that's a little bit of our background. But like I was saying, just the content just is going to speak for itself. Just the craziness that you guys are going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Just like the craziness that you're going to experience with this new information. And it mostly is just like arming yourself with information so that you can see things through a different lens. And it's not necessarily like a political lens, but it is going to be, a touch of that, because it does have a lot to do with labor and civil rights. So there's a lot of heavy topics to go through. So we're going to have those uncomfortable conversations with each other here, and interact with you and have those conversations. This book was just really eye-opening to show me that a lot of us have just been propagandized by the whitewashed history that they teach in school. And a lot of you are going to be like, who are the sources? Like the kids say, receipts. You got receipts for that? Well, like I alluded to, the receipts were Christopher Columbus himself. And then, I keep bringing up Chris C, but that's just for next week. We're going to go chapter by chapter, and I should run up and grab the book real quick, unless you have it there, and just throw out some of the more interesting chapters that we're going to cover over the next, 6 months or so. Maybe there's like 30 chapters, and we're just going to go, one chapter a week.
Chapters in total.
Okay.
Excuse me. Sorry about that. There's 23 chapters 25 chapters in total, ending with the 2000 election and the war on terrorism. Rob and I will go through most of them singularly and discuss, because there's enough information in each and every chapter that can consume an hour. And to be honest with you, if we don't edit and cut it down, we could probably talk about the subjects for much more than that. If we decide to go along and maybe bundle up a couple of chapters, we'll let you know. But some of the chapters that obviously are going to blend in with what we're dealing with now as a society is slavery without submission, the emancipation without freedom, the other Civil War, socialist challenge. Let's see here. We're going to talk about the United States involvement in World War II and how it actually came about. Most of us think that was a humanitarian effort, and the information that you find out about that is astonishing, and the way they play it off as a humanitarian effort, and their worries about the Jewish community, Auschwitz, the concentration camps, will all not only fascinate you, but hopefully put you into a fit of anger, because the matter of fact is we've been lied to throughout the course of history. And one of the things that we might end up doing, we've discussed it a little bit, and we potentially will do this. We might ask for a guest or two when it comes to professors or teachers to find out whether they were hamstrung by the curriculum, whether they were ignorant of how actual history went down, because I sure as hell was. Excuse me, I'm learning all these things as a 38-year-old male, which is part of the reason as to why it's so frustrating, because I didn't know most of these things until 2 years ago. When the police killings of unarmed black men and women and transgender folk as well, but that's what really started to pique my interest about, man, there's got to be a better.
Oh, I think we
race relations, spending. Go ahead.
I think we're.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you went in and out a little bit there. You still there?
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay,
yeah, I'm still there.
You're good.
There's just got to be a better way to do things, and when it comes to corporate spending, funding wars, funding schools,
not funding schools is
not funding schools. Corporate involvement in politics, every aspect of the politicians are controlled by the 1%. But anyway, outside of the the slavery without submission, emancipation without freedom, the war is the health of the state. A people's war. These are all just different chapters that we go into. The Carter, Reagan, and Bush administration, the bipartisan consensus. Rob has strong feelings, especially about Mr. Jimmy Carter. So I don't know if he wants to share or tease any of that as of right now, but there's I'm on the Clinton presidency right now with an hour and some change left to go in the book. And it's still blowing my mind as to the information that is being found out. And Rob used a term with me when we were speaking one-on-one and about a two-party system. So one of the things I'm looking forward to is him breaking down the fact that there really isn't a two-party system and his explanation of why that is. So that's just another tease. Maybe we'll get into that next week, probably later on when we get into the presidencies and the elections. But the main reason I got into it was my own ignorance. The main reason I got into this is I have nephews and one niece that are people of color. Junior, Julian, Ayana, Cameron, Ethan. These are all kids that are a part of my life, and not just a small part. I see them on a semi-regular basis, and they are going to have to deal with this shit show that we call the United States for the rest of their lives. And when I think about that, it not only scares me, but it almost puts me into a fit of rage because of the way things are handled nowadays. When it comes to police brutality, when it comes to the education process, when it comes to just parenting, and when it comes to people pointing fingers at different communities, especially minority communities, on how they can do better and be better. But have they ever really had a helping hand from government policies. So those are some of the things that we're going to get into. I'm doing most of the things in my life right now to be a better person for the children in it. And I'm not just doing this for the people of color, my nieces and nephews. I'm also doing it for all of my nieces and nephews, although they're not going to have the same difficulties coming up because most of them are white and most of them come from affluent families. So I'm not taking anything away from them, but my main concern for doing this particular project is to help the minority children in my life have better lives and to help their parents help their children have better lives.
Right. And, part of what we're trying to do here is, create a community, to have these discussions with each other. I've got little guys and, if we keep going at the rate we are, environmentally, then, they're not going to have a world to grow up in. If you guys want a little bit of a homework, something that Josh mentioned was, the current duopoly that we're in, the two-party system where, Republicans and Democrats are taking corporate money from the same companies. And it's not good, guys. We're the oil that controls everything. It's not good. And it's going to be time soon, to do something, serious about it, and not like trying to incite any riots or anything, but like we have to change everything. We have to change our consumption, so that, the little ones have a world to grow up in. Right. So I think if you guys have the information, from the book, maybe it'll help you keep, just a little bit more, informed, and, you can feel however you like about it. If it, enrages you and makes you want to be, more active in like local politics, I mean, that's great. If it just, kind of entertainment for you, that's good too. It's, something where it's giving you anxiety. I wouldn't, try not to get, try not to let it give you that much anxiety, because there's not too much that you could do at the, the congressional level. I would try to do what you can, at the local level. There was so much that you mentioned in there. There was so much to unpack. Next time I know I'm going to need, pen and paper, take some notes to make sure I address everything that that Josh mentioned.
Well, the basic thing of it is politics starts at the local level. We get so fooled into thinking that politics is a once every 4-year thing when the presidential election comes on, and that's not how it is. You actually make plausible changes at the local level. And that's where you get the people in there that can actually go in and make a difference. Hopefully you have the character and vision enough to select those that will not be corrupted by the corporate money that gets tossed around on every level of politics. But that's the type of hope that you have to hold out for. It's an uphill battle, and the title of the show, Revolutionary Roulette, we're not, neither Rob nor myself are pretending to be revolutionaries. That was Malcolm X and Huey Newton and a bunch of others, Harriet Tubman. Those were all people that revolutionized, helped change the world for a better. We're just trying to give you the information for you to do what you see fit with. There's going to be people out there that it enrages, as Rob before mentioned. There's going to be people that think it's a ton of bullshit, and we're speaking out of our asses. That's fine too. Howard Stern had some of his greatest audiences by people that hated him, and the reasoning was because they wanted to hear what he had to say next. So if these are things that you don't believe or don't sign on with, or think that the factual information in Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States is bullshit, then that's fine too. But we're going to try and come at you with receipts.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So I don't know if you see any comments or anything, any questions, but other than that, we're excited to get things rolling. Hopefully we have Josh's video next week. And then we're going to just dive headfirst into the book. And it's not a book club. You don't have to read along if you don't want to. It's encouraged, but not necessary. I'm actually going to read it, not going to just listen to the audiobook this time. We were talking about how neither of us had a fucking highlighter in our house to highlight passages in the book. So I will buy a highlighter, I promise. So get
and we're going to be more polished next week. I promise you that the frustration level that is sitting within me right now is enough to make some kind of change. If I need to hire a tech professional and risk them coming into my home to set this up properly so you guys can have a smooth broadcast for next week, so be it. I will risk the COVID. I'll put on 18 masks, whatever it takes. But I apologize. The information that we are providing you today is solid. However, the broadcast in which we're doing it is flawed, and I apologize for that. And we're going to do our best to have that corrected for next week. And like Rob alluded to, we're going to come out of the gates talking about indigenous people, Christopher Columbus, and what happens when the boat reached the shore of the United States. And then the week after that is, chapter 2 of the book is Drawing the Color Line, which has to do with the, obviously, segregation, tyranny. There's tons of it that goes throughout the book. And then the 5th chapter is a kind of revolution, which also ties itself into the 1960s and the things that went on with the segregation movement. So we're looking forward to come at you a lot more polished next week and have some great tidbits. Feel free to reach out via our socials. Rob, give them the email address again, please.
So it's just revolutionaryroulette@gmail.com. Again, like you said, we're not revolutionaries, but we need there needs to be some kind of change somehow. We just had Black History Month. Fred Hampton said, we're not going to fight capitalism with black capitalism. We're going to fight it with socialism. We need, we need to help out the people and stop messing around with, the 1%ers getting everything and all the workers, the rank and file just fighting for crumbs. So, you'll be able to get a more clear picture once you start looking through things through this historically correct lens. I think that's all we got.
I'm looking forward to next week just to see how things will turn out, and looking forward to providing as much information as possible. Hopefully, I don't know how to phrase this, to be honest with you. Hopefully, a lot of it is new to the listener, But then hopefully it's not, because if you're educated enough where you already know these things and you can form an opinion, that means you've probably passed it on to other people, which is what we're trying to ultimately do. The revolutionary title didn't come from us trying to be revolutionaries in the sense of hitting the streets and creating another Black Panther Party. That's already been done, and what we're trying to do is give people the ammunition to think for themselves and to put up a fight against the government when it comes to the political levels and local political levels, and just to educate your friends and have them tough discussions. It's time. It's beyond time. I've lost a lot of friends already in the past 4 years because of the previous president and a lot of the way he conducted himself.
Yeah, and just the hateful rhetoric, and the other thing is, I mean, guys, this book has been sold, over 1 million copies, right? So this isn't new information. It's been around for a while. It's been on a lot of people's eyes, and it's taught at universities, but guess what? A lot of us, didn't go to college or finish, or didn't have the opportunity to, because family was struggling, so they had to get a job, and they didn't have the luxury of going to school. And if you're lucky, the book was part of the curriculum. If not, it was more the whitewashed, propagandized history that most people listen to. So we just want to get more people aware that this book even exists, and just discuss it in hopefully in a fun, entertaining, yet informative manner.
Information.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power. That's what we're trying to do. Help educate the people, do our best to level the playing field, if you will. So,
yep.
I'll let Rob wrap it up. I just want to thank you guys who are going to listen to the podcast in the future. If there's anybody out there watching live right now, listening, we appreciate your support. We got a long way to go. So sit back, relax, strap it down, and Rob, take us home.
Yeah. So again, Revolutionary Roulette. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you prefer Twitch, check out Twitch. We do have the Twitch channel, Twitch TV /Revolutionary Roulette. And we are on Patreon. There are extra perks. So if you go to patreon.com/Revolutionary Roulette, you'll be a big help. And, if we have to pay a producer to make the production of the show a little bit better, if we could get Josh a working webcam, or, just somebody who could figure it out, that would be great. Anything you guys could do. If not, just, enjoy the show. And we'll be back next week, Saturday at 8, to discuss Chapter 1 of Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States. Thanks, guys.